Okay, here I'm going to do the simple translator JavaScript assignment. And I'm just going to follow the text tutorial like I did with the calculator program that we have here. So let's start by opening up that application in Chrome, Caret. And I'm going to create a new file. If one didn't already pop up for you, you might have to choose File, New File. Hopefully we go through this a little bit more quickly than the last one because I've already gone over a lot of things in detail that we don't need to talk too much about this time. Let's make this skinnier. Okay, so the first step, it says to copy the HTML in, and we did that before. Paste, and then save it as an HTML file. I'm going to save this one as translator.html. And we can run it. If we do command open, or sorry, if we do control O, we can find that translator.html, and there it is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we can see it has the header, it has the input field, and then it has a place where the translation is going to appear. All three of these things are created in the HTML file. See, H2 simple translation. One thing that I didn't point out in the last video is you could change this type. Anytime you have an input element and you have the type attribute, you could change it. So right now this is a text type. So I can type any values, numbers, characters, letters. If I had made it say number, save that, refresh it, now it won't accept characters unless they're number characters. As you can see here, I'm trying to type the letters and it doesn't take them. Alright, it turns out there are other types of input you could use. You could say password. What do you think that's going to do? Save that, refresh. Now when I type, it masks what I'm typing so people can't see it. It's supposed to be for a password input field. Okay. There are several others we could use. There's one called date. Some browsers support this. In different operating systems, you might have different results. Mobile operating systems have really cool widgets for this, but here you can still click the drop down and select the month, the date. You can even change the year, I believe. Oh, maybe not. There's no easy way to do that. You just have to go all the way back, probably. Anyway, so yeah, it makes it easy to select a date. So that's not what we're concerned with today, though. We're just making this a text input because it's going to be translated to another language. Alright, so the second step is to optionally add some CSS above the body elements tag. And we can do that. Right now we can just paste that in there, and I'll indent it a little bit. I'll leave myself some white space too. Okay, so save that, and all this is going to do is change the font size to be a little bit bigger and center everything, it looks like. So let's do that. And now I zoom out. Yep, it looks like it's centered, and it's a little bit bigger. Perfect. Okay, step 3. Step 3 says to add the IDs to the input field, and this is important so that we can actually access what was typed into the input field. We have to have an ID for the elements that we want to access through JavaScript. Alright, copy this as well. Copy this inside of the div area. And it says ID equals translation output div. So this is where our output is going to be. The output as in the translation. That's why right now its starting value is the word translation in square brackets. It's indicating that it's going to change when they type something. Okay, so step 4 says add some placeholder text in the input field so the user knows what they're supposed to type. So that's an attribute we just put inside of the input. You can put it before or after the ID, it doesn't matter. Let's paste it before, save that. And if we refresh this, now you see it has the placeholder text. Yay, and as soon as I begin typing, it disappears. Okay, step 5. Add a command to the input field for the Onkeyup event. This is the function that JavaScript will run anytime we press a key while the input field is in focus. So I just add this attribute, copy, paste it in, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see as I add each attribute in. So it's inside the input field. Onkeyup is going to run the script check for translation function. And then step 6, we need to actually add that function in. So I copy the script tag with the function inside of it. And I can put this basically anywhere in here as long as it's not nested. Well, I mean, a good idea would be to put it right here, not nested inside of anything because it's easier to find. Okay, I need to put some code inside of that script, inside of that function. It says step 7, create the variable to reference the value that they typed. So I can just say input is equal to whatever value is currently being held by that input field. And so now I can access them. Now I can use that input variable however I want. Okay, so step 8 says let's grab the output area so that we can use that to display the result. Step 9 is optional. This just makes it a little easier so that you don't have to worry about somebody accidentally typing something uppercase, lowercase. It'll handle it all perfectly if you just convert everything to lowercase and then only check for lowercase input after that. Then you're good. Alright, so step 10 says add the translation for the word hello. And this tutorial is using Italian. Of course, you can use any language you want. Let's just stick with Italian for now. Paste that in and indent this. There we go. So input was the variable that they typed in. We turned it into lowercase. So now we just have to check if that variable that we turned into lowercase equals a lowercase hello. Then let's make the output display ciao, because that's the Italian translation for hello. Okay, let's test this just to see if it works. Save that, refresh, and let's try typing hello. And it works, good. Okay, step 11 says add the translation for hi. So let's copy that, paste it immediately after the other if statement. And this one we're also going to have equal ciao because hello and hi basically mean the same thing, right? Okay. And step 12 says add several more translations for the target language. So we could do as many as we want. As far as the assignment goes, I think you should add 10 for each language. So for this one, at least I think that's what it said. What did I say down here? Oh, at least 30 translations total in at least 3 different languages. So yeah, if you do 10 for each language, you're good. So we could make one here say thank you, and the translation could be grazie. Let's save that and test it. So I say thank you. It does not work. Did I not refresh? Let's try it. Oh, it does work. Okay, good. And if I say hello, it works as well. One thing you might want to do, just so if it doesn't equal anything, like this right here, obviously doesn't have a translation, so it shouldn't display ciao as the translation for that. All we have to do is at the end of all of our translations, add the word else and set the output to be nothing. So you can say output divs HTML that's being displayed is going to be nothing. It's just empty string, empty quotes there. Okay, so now when we refresh it, if I type hello, it shows ciao, but the second I type garbage, it's not there anymore. Good. But it's there when I type hello. Perfect. One more thing that I didn't actually check yet, but it should work, is if I type hello lowercase, it works. It should also work if I type hello uppercase, and it does. Good. Even if I type it weird, like camel case uppercase. Oops, that's not how you spell hello. There we go. So if I have like all uppercase, all lowercase, it doesn't matter because of how I handle the input. I turned it into lowercase immediately when they are checking for the translation. Immediately when it runs this script, the first thing it does is it turns everything lowercase, and then the conditions I'm checking only involve lowercase input values. So we're good. It's magic. It's beautiful. All right. Step 13, I actually already did that for you. That was where I added the else, and I set it to be nothing if it doesn't have a translation. Okay. Step 14 says to copy and rename the HTML file. And this is just in case you don't want to ruin what you already have, because this is a good working program. It's possible that as we continue further in this step-by-step tutorial, you might make a mistake, and well, let's do that. So let's save file as, and let's call this translator2.html. Okay, so if you ever need to go back and use that code because you broke the code here, at least now we have that copy saved. All right, so step, where are we at now? Oh, did I go too far ahead? Step 15, that's where we're at. It says, now we're going to make the previous application work for at least 2 more languages. In the previous code, we had a title that said Simple Italian Translator, and that code looked like this. So you can find that right here on line 40. See? We've got H2 surrounding Simple Italian Translator. Well, that's obviously only works if it's just translating for Italian. But we want to make it so it can do multiple languages. So let's copy this code here and use that to replace this line. So you can delete that and then paste in that stuff we copied. And if you want to make it look nice, maybe we can move that to a new line, indent that. We can move that to a new line. There we go. So there are 3 components here. We've got the word simple, and we've got a drop down, a select input area, a drop down that says which language is being chosen, and then we've got the word translator. So when I save this, I'll just run that and you'll be able to see. It says, oops, did I not refresh it? Did I not save it? Let's see. Oh, I know what the problem is. Because I saved it as a new file, I now have to reopen that other file. Okay, so if I do Command O or Control O, that's the one. So now you see it says Simple Italian Translator, but the Italian word is in a drop-down, and we can change it to these other 2 languages, Spanish or French. If you choose to do a different language, of course, you just change what it says here, Japanese, Chinese, whatever. All right, I'm just going to keep it with Spanish and French for now. Okay, step 16? Yeah. Step 16 says add an ID to the select element. Now this is going to allow us to know which language is currently being selected. So we can say ID equals language selector. You could have just copied that in, but I typed it. Okay. Step 17. Now in the JavaScript code where we created the first 2 variables, add a 3rd variable that retrieves the current selected value. Okay, so let's go back to the line right here where we retrieved those 2 other variables, the inputs, or the input and then the place we wanted to store the output. Let's add that line there. So now we know which language is selected because it grabs it from the HTML element, whatever content is being displayed, whatever option is selected there. Now we've got a reference to it in the variable selected language. Okay, so in step 18 we're going to use that variable to check whether it's actually Italian or if it's French or Spanish or something else. So let's add a condition. We'll say if, and this is actually supposed to surround those other things we already have. See how it says if input equals hello, if input equals hi? That's these lines right here. So we need to surround that stuff and only let it check these inputs and use these outputs if the selected language is Italian. Okay, so I copied these 2 lines here. Oops. And I'm going to paste them around all of our Italian word translations. And then the only other thing I need here is the closing curly bracket. You could copy that or you could just type it. Closing curly bracket, perfect. I'm going to add some white space just so it's easy to see. So all of this has to do with Italian. It's only going to go inside here and use these translations if they have currently selected Italian as their language they're trying to translate for or translate into. Okay, step 19 says add some other languages. It says add some cases for a different language that they might have selected. So if they selected French, we would have else if selected language equals French, and then inside of that, of course, we would have different translations. I'm going to remove these 3 dots because they are not actually code. They're just there to indicate that there might be more stuff below, which there should be, right? In fact, we can make it easy on ourselves if we just copy all of this, paste it all in there, and then just change what the values are for French. So French, hello, should be bonjour or something, right? Hi, I believe you could also say bonjour, you could say salut. I think that's one. Is it salut, maybe? And then thank you in French is merci. I don't know what if my accent is right, who cares? Step 20. The last thing we want to do, of course you'll also have to add one for Spanish, but you can do that on your own. The last thing we want to do is make the select element run that JavaScript function. We want to run the script as soon as they change the language too. So we just have to add an onChange attribute. Add the onChange event inside of the select element. There we go. And of course check for translation is the name of that script, that function we created inside of our script. Okay. And the last thing it says is, this is not quite how Google Translate works, of course. Google Translate uses machine learning algorithms, blah, 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 blah. Of course, this is just basic stuff. I just wanted to give you I just wanted to give you guys a chance to create some if condition statements and see if we can do some simple translations. All right, so you can see there's different languages here. Spanish, we don't have anything for yet, but let's try out French. Let's try thank you. Hey, it works, good. Now let's try Italian. It works, beautiful. Okay, you can say hello, French, bonjour, hi, salut, yeah. So there you have it. Feel free to turn that in, that HTML.